All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them, declared Walt Disney, beloved cartoonist and esteemed animator, an inspiration to all young children. But what makes Walt Disney different from any other unknown artist? What distinguishes the difference between Disney and any other unrecognized illustrator? Do you know? Do you want to know? Because of inspiration. For my 7th grade RLA passion project, Try Time, I decided to look at the concept of inspiration and how we, as TCKs, can create a more artistically inspiring school environment. The rules for Try Time are simple. You have to have a question on something that you're passionate about, and the answer to this question should not easily be answered by Google or Yahoo. The evolution of my driving question. First, I thought about doing disabilities, but I realized that this is too wide of a topic, and I would need more time to cover the entire concept. Then, during a newspaper brainstorming session that we had in RLA class, I thought about doing society's perception of beauty, but I realized that this was also a very vague topic. After that, I thought about how we, as Singapore's generation of TCKs, can create a more artistically inspiring home environment. But I realized it would be easier and more plausible to do school environment instead. Process. First, I had my driving question. Then, I did media research such as reading articles and studies on inspiration. Third, I did an interview with Mr. Dirksen and Miss Ilse Boermas, who are both teachers here at SAS. Then, I did surveys and observations with my peers. After that, I did background research and extra research, which I actually recommend doing first to create a foundation for your project. Then, I did my final product, which I will talk more about later. Finally, I have my reflection on my procedure. First, I'm going to talk about my background research on TCKs. I found from a survey to my peers that students spend an average of about 4 hours on schoolwork, sports, and extracurriculars every day. While that doesn't sound like much, when you add it to 7 hours of school, 9 hours of sleep necessary for our growing minds and bodies, and 3 hours of other extra things, transportation, morning routine, etc., you're left with only 1 hour, which many students will use to socialize or to do other hobbies that they may have. This leaves only a little bit of time for artistic inspiration. Miss Ilse Wienbas Boermsa, a teacher working with TCKs for 16 years, also said, "I'm not sure, but they generally have more emotional stuff going on." And she was referencing to moving, parents living in different countries, etc., which are all problems that TCKs face. But first, to find the solution, we need to define the problem. What is inspiration, really? Inspiration, a mystifying notion, one that has baffled humans since the time of ancient Greeks, who believed in muses, who were goddesses that inspired the creation of art, music, and literature. In modern times, according to a study by Todd M. Thrash, an associate professor at William and Mary University, specializing in social psychology and inspiration, and Andrew J. Elliott, a professor of psychology at the University of Rochester, defines inspiration as either a state or a trait. Trait inspiration is considered to be a quality, a virtue that you either have or do not have. This means that only some people are able to be inspired, as other people do not have this character trait. State inspiration, however, regards that everyone is able to achieve inspiration, as it is a state of mind. In a survey that I conducted and sent out to my peers, 6 out of 9 said that it was a state, 2 said it was a trait, and 1 believed it could be a mixture of both. Yet, when I interviewed one of my teachers, Mr. Dirksen, teacher at SAS since 2007 and a graduate from the University of British Columbia, he said that, "I'm not discounting either one, but I would say that everyone is capable of being inspired. Personally, I believe that inspiration is a state because in all my experience, I've never met anyone who is incapable of being inspired." What are the causes and effects of inspiration? In the same study by Todd M. Thrash and Andrew J. Elliott, they found that, in terms of timing, openness to experience often came before inspiration, suggesting that those who are more open to inspiration are more likely to experience inspiration. Work mastery, as well as creativity, absorption, perceived competence, self-esteem, and optimism were all results of being inspired. However, work mastery was also a cause of inspiration, suggesting that inspiration is not completely passive, but does favor the ready over the unprepared. What about the scientific side of inspiration? Most people will tell you about how the left side of the brain is so logical, realistic, and analytical, and how the right side is that vivid, creative, and passionate. Right? Wrong. According to an article by Scott Barry Kaufman, American psychologist, author, and science writer, the latest findings from the real neuroscience of creativity suggest that the right brain-left brain distinction does not offer us the full picture of how creativity is implemented in the brain. Creativity does not involve a single brain region or a single side of the brain. The brain actually has 3 different networks, but I'm only going to focus on one, what Randy Buckner, American neuroscientist and psychologist, calls the imagination network, or the default network. Buckner wrote about how this is the part of your brain that works when you're remembering the past, thinking about the future, or imagining different scenarios and perspectives. The imagination network is also concerned with social cognition, such as imagining what other people are thinking. Areas around the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in personality expression and social behavior, temporal lobe, which processes what you hear and listen to, and parietal cortex, which is sensory perception, are involved in this network. This was one of the things that I had to do extra research on in the middle of the piece, as I didn't know about it beforehand and didn't realize I would have to research it. In a review by Rex Jung, neuropsychologist, brain imaging researcher, and assistant professor of neurosurgery at the University of New Mexico, suggests that, in order to allow your mind to roam and imagine new possibilities, it's good to increase the activity of the imagination network. They also said, quote, "Indeed, research on jazz musicians and rappers engaging in creative improvisation suggests that that's precisely what is happening in the brain while in a flow state." What inspires people? It depends a lot on preferences, but by observing our 7th grade RLA classroom, I saw that half the students like to listen to music while working. Also, when asked, 6 out of 9 7th graders like to listen to music while they work. 2 said that it would depend on the music and the task at hand, and 1 said that it's more distracting than helpful. To quote Mr. Dirksen again, he said, "For example, I love artwork and I have artwork throughout my house. And I love nature and I purposely put myself in situations where I'm in nature, and I feel that when I do that, I'm inspired to do other things." How can we promote inspiration at school? My final product is called Project Inspire, and I've created a display which I will put in the MS foyer in the week of March 7th to March 12th, which includes different pieces of artwork, photography, and quotes to inspire SAS's middle schoolers. I have also created a campaign to inspire people on Instagram with the hashtag #SASProjectInspire, and I have submitted an article to the Eye, the high school newspaper, in hopes of it getting published. Throughout my process, I have learned that, in order to succeed, your failures must be treated like broken light bulbs. If one burns out, you don't buy a new house, you simply fix the light bulb. I also realized along the way that not all sources are credible, such as one link that I had from slideshare.net, which, although it had good content, was not a very credible source, as it did not say much on the author or on his qualifications. I think that the amount of effort I put into this project will be reflected in the amount of final product that I get at the end. And so I believe that although I made a couple mistakes and wasted a little time, I can still achieve all the goals that I set. I think that my success can be measured in accomplishing all my aims to the best of my ability, because I must request a lot of help to pull off everything, and it's possible that my goals cannot be fully accomplished. A couple skills that I learned are emailing procedure, interviewing techniques. I learned about different types of action, direct versus indirect, graphic design, and finding the best quotes from sources. A couple of my successes are accomplishing the display and hashtag, although I'm still waiting to see if my article will get published. I gained an overview of inspiration and how it works, and I feel as if now I can help inspire people. However, a couple of my failures were, I didn't contact anyone outside of SAS. I wasted a lot of time, and I didn't use all of my research in my final presentation. I hope that my passion project will have the power to inspire someone here at SAS to create something, and that will inspire others. That way, it will be like the ripple effect, spreading to anyone and everyone. Here's my bibliography. Thank you.